Hi, everyone. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jeremy.
Welcome to our Tech Over Coffee podcast. We are so thankful to Chipola College for sponsoring our podcast. One, we're filming here from the beautiful studio in Marianna, Florida, main campus at Chipola College. And Jeremy, what a great place to talk about business topics, tech-based topics, just looking at concepts that apply here on campus, even virtually, to our degrees, our bachelor's degrees, our associates, our certificates, and even the research that we do. So, an exciting time, and I've seen a list of these topics that you have for us. So, what do you want to kick us off with today?
Yeah, let's see. I'll give us a little bit of a rundown here. So, we've got five main topics. One is a little less timely than it should have been, but we get busy talking about other things. So, we've got Honda's self-driving car technology. First one, the level 3, which is pretty cool. Then we've got Taiwan and the various semiconductor and chip companies are pointing fingers at Bitmain, the largest Bitcoin mining manufacturer, for stealing talent. Then we've got new titles. We've got new titles that are out there that are very important to what we do and what Tesla does. Then last but not least, we've got a little bit of a fiery situation out there.
Oh no, that sounds sounds scary.
So let's head it off with the self-driving tech, right? So did you really expect Honda to be the first out of the line with level 3?
I did not, but there's that great business adage, right? First to market, late mover. So Tesla's kind of been teasing people with they would be the first to market. Maybe they're going to be the smart late mover. Maybe they're going to be like Microsoft, and let Apple kind of, figure out GUI and they'll just make billions of dollars off of it, So maybe Tesla is playing their cards on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, so Tesla's competition, if you compare their stance on the self-driving technologies, they definitely move more towards LiDAR, special mapping, and throwing as many possible sensors as they can. And Tesla, Elon Musk, has actually pushed back against all of those things, saying that you don't actually need LiDAR, that you can just use machine learning and cameras. But in this instance, Tesla is saying that their full self-driving beta will never be level 3 from what they're saying. And I think that's just some legal protection while they do some testing and stuff like that, where a company like Honda, less interested in being like the maverick and saying, no, we've got a system they've done, I think, 800,000 miles of testing and I think a couple years of figuring it out, and said, okay, we think it's good enough to let people occasionally watch a DVD while they're driving.
That's great. And if Honda's first to market with it, that's going to help them. And these late movers can then learn from their mistakes, can learn from, what they have to release in their public filing since they're a publicly traded company. So Tesla, they may have, they may just be slow to the draw on it, or they may actually be kind of gaming the process. So I guess time will tell.
Yeah, you never really know. And especially in this situation, it's like jumping to level 3 from level 2. Level 2 being a system where you must always pay attention and always keep your hands on the wheel and all of those sorts of things. Level 3 requires an amount of driver monitoring, which Tesla has in their vehicles but hasn't fully activated and used yet, right? So I have heard that Tesla's actually pushed people out of the beta that have been not paying enough attention. Honda's solution to that for their new system is actually, if you don't listen to the system when it says hey, you need to take over now because something's happening, it will pull you over to the side of the road, honk the horn, and throw the flashes on to warn everybody. I've heard Super Cruise, I think, calls the police on you.
Wow, yeah, that will definitely catch your attention. And Honda doesn't mess around, I guess, and Tesla's kind of dragging their feet. And
I think Tesla is definitely more willing to take the risks, and Honda is like, no, we're going to be really safe, and we want to position ourselves as being the bigger, safer auto manufacturer.
Well, that's a good play, and it could be an investment ploy, so we'll have to see how that works out in the market. Elon definitely probably has some thoughts in regard, and Honda taking the lead, that's great for the market. It's good to have other competition, other products out there, other services that kind of inspire other companies to take a step back, 2 steps forward, to learn from what they're doing. So nothing wrong with that.
Unfortunately, the way this works, though, is that Honda's only put it in one car, their new Legend, which is only going to be available in Japan.
Wow.
So you might have level 3, but only in one country. And I think that comes down to regulation. because the United States has a lot more stricter rules, and so that could be why Tesla is holding back and saying, well, if we just leave it at level 2, but give it all of these other features, well, it's on the driver and not on us. Honda, I guess they've got a better deal in other countries.
And Tesla doesn't really have a manufacturing presence in Japan yet, right?
Right, not yet.
Yeah, so-
Tesla only has manufacturing in China, the United States, and Germany, and then building out in Texas,
I wonder
which
if
is still the United States, but hey.
That's right. That's right. I wonder if China, which is kind of an upcoming, maybe it's a good segue for them. Wonder if manufacturing there, if these levels, these tiers will really matter. If they can kind of have more flexibility in how you label something, maybe that'll be a great test bed. You don't want anyone to get injured, but that might be a thought.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a country that's a little bit more willing to let testing be done, then it could work out for them a little bit sooner than everyone else.
Some good points.
Yeah. And speaking of Texas, right? So
So you didn't take the China segue. You went to
no,
Texas.
no,
Okay.
jump completely past China and
Okay.
come right back to Texas.
I appreciate that.
The land of big oil and freezing temperatures sometimes.
And space.
Space, where currently SpaceX is set up in Boca Chica, Texas, near the southern tip and coast. As with a lot of rocket launches, you want to be near the coast, and Texas seems to be a big place for that, right? You know, Houston, we have a problem and whatnot. But in this instance, SpaceX is trying to basically open up a whole new city and call it Spaceport.
That's a great name.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
I like Elon's style, with how he has, car manufacturers, car designers work on spaceships. It just makes an attractive product, a great service. It inspires others to want to participate. So that naming of a spaceport, if you will, that's powerful.
Yeah, well, I mean, there will be spaceport in Texas, and then I think there will be a secondary spaceport in Mars. So you'll be hopping between two spaceports. And
That inspires me for sure. That is, and that's our kind of 10-year plan, right? Is to be on Mars.
yeah, just to get out there. And I mean,
Yeah.
you'll be launching from most likely a SpaceX launch pad, and spend the couple months it takes to get there, and then have the harsh reality of living on Mars.
That's right, and they're thinking the moon might be kind of the launching point from
Yeah.
this spaceport in Texas.
Which makes a lot of sense because the moon has a lot less gravity, you have a lot less to deal with than having to completely spend all of this effort to get out of the Earth's atmosphere.
And just think of the jobs it's going to create
Yeah.
in Texas. So that's a really good partnership. You have the government involved. We saw that the Army Corps of Engineers looking at the specs for this blueprint. And Elon's being creative. He wasn't given a lot of space to work with, and he's working on using that space well.
Right, yeah. Their intention is to have 2 orbital launch pads, 2 suborbital launch pads, 2 structural test stands for their Starship and Super Heavy rockets, also a tank farm for ground support for these orbital flights. I assume that's for refueling and whatnot. And then a permanent solution for their Starhopper vehicle to be right at the entrance so everyone knows that this place is all about rockets.
That's right. Kind of picture that device that takes you from Epcot to Magic Kingdom at what's that thing called?
Oh, I don't know.
Drawing a blank on that.
There's I think the People Mover.
I don't think that's it.
I think that might be it.
No, that was in Fantasyland. I don't know what that. But it's what's that called? Anyways, we're live, and I'm forgetting the name of this. But that'll be a great way to showcase their interest in space. But pun not intended. When we talked about he was given limited space, space for SpaceX is unlimited, but the space that's limited is
Yeah.
the territory, the footprint on the coast of Texas. Wasn't given a lot of real estate, if you will, for him to build these plans, and he's taking full use of it.
Yeah, a lot different than say Cape Canaveral or the Houston launch stations. They're a lot bigger in those areas, and they're much more expansive. In this situation, they only have, I think, 10 or 12 acres or something like that, which is not all that much, but apparently they're going to be able to get all of this stuff fit in and spaced around just right, so that'll be pretty cool.
And I thought that term. I think it's called the monorail.
Ah, monorail.
Yeah, so they'll have a monorail when you enter the spaceport.
I'm pretty sure that it's called the People Mover, though. I'm confident on this. You can look it up, and that might give me a new title.
Oh wow! Speaking of titles, right?
We're putting titles on the line.
Yeah, what title would they give you?
Maybe Directo King. No,
Direct-
I think that one's already been taken.
Right, I think Eric Dove has a new title, maybe Directo King, and that's
Yeah.
kind of a nod to Elon Musk of what, Techno King?
Yeah, he's going to be the new Techno King of Tesla. He's given up CEO, and he's now the Techno King. And then the Chief Financial Officer is now the Master of Coin.
That's fantastic. So we know these because as a publicly traded company, they have to do these quarterly reports with the SEC. This was just released, and investors are not really happy. Elon, he probably does these things just to inspire interest in Tesla, but also kind of
Yeah.
to poke a stick at others. Their stock price is down. And I don't know if he really cares because he's focused on the big picture.
Yeah.
He also could be poking a stick at Jeff Bezos with Blue Origin, his focus
bit.
on taking a step down just to be chairman. Well, he's taking a step. I don't even know what direction when you become CEO to Techno King.
Yeah,
But
well,
it's interesting.
It's I guess it's a pretty good joke, right? It's a good way to get Tesla into the news. Everyone's going to be talking about this. I mean, we are, and I mean, I saw an article in the BBC, CNN's talking about it all day. Everyone's like, "Whoa, he's doing some crazy thing," and it's a funny name, right? I think the Master of Coin way cooler, honestly.
Most certainly, when you're the CFO and you get a title like Master of Coin, that's a nice promotion for
Yeah,
sure.
especially if you're a Game of Thrones fan.
Oh,
Like that's a cool one. I mean, then also there's this relation to Bitcoin, right? So the Master of Coin, well, he is the master of all Tesla's Bitcoin.
and
So.
could this be a segue maybe to China?
Maybe because
With coin?
Bitcoin is pretty big in China, as well as Bitcoin mining manufacturers, companies like Bitmain.
Here we go. Yes.
Canon Creative. I think there's one also called Ebong, whatever it's called. Not the biggest there, but Bitmain being the biggest is actually known for their shrewd business tactics and, in this case, possibly stealing talent from other chip manufacturers. And I guess for Bitmain, that's a pretty big deal. So a lot of chip manufacturing is done in Taiwan. It'd be companies like the TSMC, literally the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturer.
And there's a big foundry in that part of the world.
Yes, right. Lots of big foundries, billion-dollar factories at that. They're very, very large. It takes a lot to change sand into a functional computer chip. So what's happening here is that Taiwan is accusing Bitmain of stealing their talent, and they're actually having a huge investigation here because, like, a lot of these employees will have intellectual property and understandings of these properties that they might not necessarily be allowed to share with another company if they move along, right? And Bitmain obviously wants to figure out how to make their mining chips cheaper and more efficient, so why not build out their own manufacturing facilities themselves? Because that would be the big move, is that if currently the Bitcoin mining manufacturer companies are putting a lot of money into TSMC to create their top-of-the-line chips. Not just TSMC, but Samsung as well. And it depends on, how much volume there is out there. And everybody's competing for chips too, because there's actually a large shortage in the automotive industry for chips. Who knows what this is related to, right? So Bitmain looking to take some of this competition and bring it into their side is a big business move on their end, and might put them into some hot water.
So a couple of considerations here. Wow. So the marketplace is competitive, and that competition leads to important steps and beneficial steps like a SpaceX or Blue Origin that can get us back to the moon, get us to Mars. So competition in that regard is great. Competition becomes a little questionable when you're trying to borrow, or is the word steal, talent from other countries, other companies.
Well, acquire talent, let's say that.
So challenging in the thought of, is it the competitive nature of the marketplace leads to really positive steps, new inventions, new businesses, new technologies, but it also can hurt others. So it's a shame when you see that happen, and we don't really know if that's the case, but that is the nature of the marketplace. Competition leads to all different types of activities.
And especially in a highly competitive market like chip manufacturer
Or crypto.
and cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you consider that for a lot of these situations, you're looking at a supplier-buyer situation where the buyer is then selling those products to other people. And so, in a way, they're competing with the people that they're purchasing from. And TSMC and the big chip manufacturers have all of the control and command there. So if they're able to get that ability and that talent, bring it in-house, they can cut out huge expenses. So of course I can see why they would want to do that. And I can see why TSMC would want to lock down their employees.
Be interesting to see who they complain to. I don't know if there's a international organization.
I think they're actually going straight to the Taiwanese government.
Okay.
And so you actually have investigators from the Taiwanese government looking into this. So it's kind of a big deal. And there are a lot of NDAs and contracts that are involved in these types of businesses.
So yet to be determined, so that
Yeah.
is an important topic. Thank you for introducing that.
Ongoing.
Yes.
For
well,
sure.
What else do you have for us today?
So I've got, I think, maybe one more topic that I think is pretty close to home. We're talking about cryptocurrencies, and NVIDIA just closed out a very large lawsuit dating back to 2017. So NVIDIA, back in 2017, there was a previous crypto boom, and it was involving a lot of graphics cards. And we're kind of in the same situation today with graphics cards being almost impossible to get. And it's because miners are out there buying them up. And the manufacturers, we're talking about chip shortages. It's in the same vein, right? So these same chip manufacturers are making the chips for NVIDIA and whatnot. And so you actually have NVIDIA that's now settled, I think it was like a $1.8 or $1.7 billion lawsuit around their selling of graphics cards directly to crypto miners rather than to your standard consumer.
Wow, I wonder, is that in the regs where you have to be able to save so many that are allotted to consumers?
I don't
Who's
know.
to say a company is not a consumer?
Right, and in this instance, NVIDIA is the manufacturer. They're selling to other people who are then selling to other people. And so they have deals in place with other companies that they would call partners. And those partners are like required to buy a certain number of these chips to then put on boards and create graphics cards for them. And if NVIDIA was, say, setting up these rules for them and then going around them and selling to someone else, that could be a big loss of revenue for these companies.
Most certainly.
And especially when NVIDIA is then also selling their own cards. So NVIDIA is competing with their own customers and then also making special deals with other people and then preventing certain people to enter the market. So if like NVIDIA is avoiding their own like contractual partners and then selling their stuff to people that then is taking away business, it does get into a little sticky situation.
Right, that's a bad business practice, you would say, that ethical
Yeah.
questions, and if they're publicly traded firm, which they are, then that has to be transparent. So,
Yeah.
and it sounds like it hasn't been.
Right.
So, what was the resolution? You said it's coming to an end.
I think it was either settled or it was found in NVIDIA's favor. So in the end,
Wow,
I
which
guess,
is interesting.
so NVIDIA gets away with it, or at least
They weren't guilty.
yeah, they weren't guilty, right? And because I suppose it's on whoever signs the contract and makes these agreements, because you're just making agreements to purchase. And NVIDIA is the big company that's making this. They can sell to whoever they want. And when it comes to crypto people, they'll buy what you got when it's time to buy. That's for sure.
So, wow, these were great topics, Jeremy. Always, each week, you keep us focused on the important topics. What's coming back in your mind for after spring break, I should say? That's 2 weeks.
Oh, that's hard to say because
The whole world could
there's
change in a week.
so much news
Right.
every week. I mean, I'm giving us a fine selection, but I'm always leaving stuff on the table, right? So it'll have to be a big surprise. And in 2 weeks, who knows what's going to happen?
That's right. Well, I look forward to it, Jeremy.
Yeah, I always do.
All right. Thank you, sir.